funding Jim. He had a couple things he just wanted to add. I told him, yeah, we got another 15 minutes or so if you want to come in. So he's in the back room now. Let's just say what's up to funding Jim.
What up, Gary?
Good seeing you guys. You guys are making terrific commentary today. Everybody kind of looks for narrative and things like that. And, some of the points you made just in the past, like 20, 30 minutes I was watching, just great commentary. Really appreciate that.
Thank you, Gary. We appreciate you too, bro, because we've seen you in the chat and talking to all the newbies and all that on the Pulse Chain Com. So we appreciate you, bro, because I'm learning like crazy. I take notes and everything on the chat. It's like a hardware education on your phone.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, again, I think that the community and every little bit of every comment actually might open an eye. It might say, okay, well, I kind of relate to that person. Like people are going to relate to identity. They're going to relate to Balliet. They're going to relate to my personality or whatever. They're going to relate, right? And, all coming from a center point, maybe it doesn't hit the same crowd. It doesn't punch through, right? So I love that you guys make your streams and the commentary, given if it's just changes of a few words, sometimes it just takes that one word for it to click over and people go, oh, that's what this is about. That's how this works, right? Really, really great stream. I did want to comment. This is actually opportunity. It's opportunity, of course, with the haircut. There's opportunity, just like you've seen. Run-ups and bounces are part of the game, right? Richard said this and reiterated it today. That's part of the game. I try not to be too dry in my content, but obviously I'm working in the startup space for a long time, real estate for a long time, things like that. And you plan your exit. So that's what I was trying to say to Bran was what Richard developed and what is displayed by Firebund's product, Hex.Vision, really is underused. It's underutilized. About, do you plan because it's opportunity to buy? That's where you make your money on a buy. You say, wow, the marketplace thinks this is more valuable than I see it available to me. So I'm going to buy that piece of real estate that just needs some lipstick. And then I will make profit because the market respects the value that I see after it's pretty, right? So curb appeal, things like that. So in real estate, that's kind of you make your money on the buy. There's also the make your money on the sell, right? And it's a different animal altogether. And I think that if people really stop and look at Hex.Vision and they look at those windows and you see when those things, obviously the skyscraper towers where there's volume of Hex coming out, it's very similar to a chart. There's psychological levels where people say 10 years out, 555, 3640, during some kind of commentary that Richard might put out there or somebody else that they resonate with, they say, okay, I'm going to go 10 years. And you see these organic pilings up of when stakes would end, but they didn't even look at where those stakes would end. They just said, today seems like a good day. I feel comfortable at 2 years. What is 2 years from now? I feel comfortable on my birthday. I feel comfortable at the end of the year before I have to pay taxes. People do these natural kind of resonate with a date, but they don't look at that window of exit. So they look at the window of in, but they don't look at the window of exit. So I wanted to strike that note with you guys. And then the second thing is, so there's a guy, he's got a popular channel. He deals in crypto also, but mostly he deals with 8 and 9 figure people that are in businesses. His channel is called Nomad Capitalist. If you look at his channel, he's an excellent commentary. And, you heard all kinds of people when Hex or is it 7 cents, or when Bitcoin's at 55 grand or Ethereum's at over 4,000, everybody's fucking interested about how can I save on my taxes? I don't think I'm going to move to Puerto Rico. Maybe I should go to Portugal. Maybe I should go to Malta. And then when the haircut happens, what just happened this past week, they all get silent and they're like, oh no, I don't think I should do it now. Well, okay, dude, look at Nomad Capitalist. His most recent video really comments about the opportunity to build something is a bear market. The opportunity to change your location and have a better reward of, maybe changing your citizenship, renouncing, maybe changing your state, right? Say, hey, it's an opportunity to move out of California or New York into Texas or Florida or somewhere that doesn't have state income tax at least, right? So I'm trying to tell people, here's your opportunity. You know that the product market fits, right? You know that there are cycles in every asset class. They happen to happen more frequently in crypto because it is a highly accelerated, low, even though there's a learning curve, there's not a lot of barriers to entry. The taxi driver can participate, right? The taxi driver probably doesn't have a TD Ameritrade and paying attention to stock the same way. That's why Robinhood is popular, right? So when you're looking at it and you said 2 months ago or a month ago, man, if only I could, I should, I better, because I don't want to give away 30% to government. Look at it now. Your exit cost is less now. If you're going to change citizenship, your exit cost is a far less now because you basically pay an exit tax when you leave the United States if you're going to change citizenship. And that exit tax is whether you've sold or not, doesn't matter if you sold or not. What is your assets? Real estate, stock, crypto? Okay, here's my assets. What's the fair market value? Well, at a bull run, you're going to pay an exit tax based on the fair market value, even if you didn't sell. So wouldn't it be better to exit when it's low? Wouldn't it be better to pay less tax to exit? If you plan to do that when it was high, why would you change your mind now? Doesn't make any sense. Same thing with Puerto Rico. So Puerto Rico, people asking me like crazy this past couple of weeks, couple of months actually. They're like, oh man, it's doing so great. X is amazing. And it is. It's amazing. It's perfect. And they ask, well, how do you handle your taxes? Well, I was like, honestly, I don't care so much since 2018 because I'm an Act 20 and 22 dude. Right. And I don't have to be like super paranoid about documenting like crazy every single transaction because I'm basically immune, right? I paid for that cost to do so. I changed my life, right, in 2018. So people say, yeah, that sounds great. And I'm just saying that if you look at the exit on Hex.Vision and you say, here's where my stake needs to come out. And if you look at that, why wouldn't you look at when you need to consider your tax obligation? Why wouldn't you look at that exit too, right? And people like to look when they have a ledger that's a big number, but they get all sad and like, oh no, dude, you're doing it wrong. If you're going to consider it because you have mad gains, you definitely need to consider it when the opportunity is in and says, hey, if you believed in the product, if you believed in the code, if you saw 100% uptime, if you've seen display of success through both, basically not just Richard, but community, basically, right? That shows, hey, this thing's working. It's been working great, like for 2 years, right? Why wouldn't you consider strategy? Why wouldn't you consider, hey, this is an opportunity. I can change state. I can put my assets into an LLC where I'm not liable. There's people that can get sued right now because they didn't hit the brakes fast enough in their automobile. And their automobile usually has between $30,000 to $50,000 of liability insurance coverage that you have, right? That your insurance is paying for. What if it's $100,000? What if someone's crippled, right? An accident happens and you owe millions of dollars. What if? Well, now you've got assets. Before, when you were broke, you didn't have shit. Nobody could take it from you if you didn't have shit. Now you've got shit. So I tell people, look at your liability, both tax-wise and your legal liability and the risk curve you're comfortable with. Why don't you consider something like forming an LLC, even if you stay in the same city that you're in, and transfer your assets to your control, but through an entity? The entity didn't drive the car, right? The entity didn't have a slip and fall in the front yard of your property, right? You did. Right. And you want to be, again, people don't like this phrase, but you want to be litigation proof. You want to be basically, hey, I can come at you with my lawyers. Okay, I ain't got shit. My company owns shit. I don't, right? So I'm just advising people, this is an opportunity. It's an opportunity to consider seriously your logistics of how about if it does turn bull or bear, if the whole crypto market turns bear for any period of time, why wouldn't you want to have mad gains in how much hex you're paid by longer stakes? You're not paying tax on that. why wouldn't you look at the window of when you want your stakes to come out and set them longer term? You know, if the bear before was 3 years, why wouldn't you expect at least a 3-year stake? If it does go bear, why wouldn't you think that the bull would be 3 years or 4 years from now?
Yeah, that's great advice. Gary's cut out for just a second here while the screen loads again. But yeah, no, that's great advice. I mean, to his point that, you know, maybe at the beginning of Hex, you only had, you know, X amount in assets. And now after 1100X later, yeah, now maybe, you know, many people could be in that similar scenario where, like you mentioned, you do accidentally rear end someone. And guess what? Now you're getting sued for your assets as opposed to having that plan in the first place. So like Gary mentioned, it's definitely smart to plan your entrance and your exit and also how to set up your assets.
Whenever I saw that chart, I mean, that's that I had that light bulb moment too, because it was like, wow, you can predict when it's a good time, you know, get it before tax, after tax, on this time, on a time where it's less busy. You can see where some of these stakes are ending. So it's so cool. I mean, the way I see it, I mean, it's almost like you can see it's like a window into the future. So I love it.
You cut out for
Sorry
a couple
about
seconds.
just my phone was giving me crap. But I was just saying that, you know, basically look ahead. There's tools available. Look ahead. There's community of resources available. Look ahead at the examples of other people that have the lifestyle that you want to live. Look ahead, right? Don't go blindly into saying, I should have this profession, and you've never met someone in that profession. Don't go blindly into saying, I'd like to be a serial entrepreneur and never have met one, right? You should look ahead. And there's just different ways you can look ahead. That's my point.
It's awesome to have people like you in the community and Identity and just everyone else that, yeah, that you can learn so much from. And like I was saying before you cut out for a second, that, yeah, you know, maybe a lot of Hexicans might be in that similar position where, you know, you haven't ever done an LLC, but now it makes sense to start transferring those assets into something where you're not just going to get sued into oblivion if there is a, you know, catastrophe or car crash, things like that.
For sure. Yeah, because it's funny, but we go on some of these streams and we joke around saying this is not financial advice, which is not, obviously. But what Gary's saying, it's very true. You know, try to prepare and think about the long run. Some people are going to be making some mad gains. Even people coming in right now, brand new. Like I keep telling everyone, because in the chat the other day, someone was saying that, oh, well, you guys have been here for a year and some. And I was like, yeah, but in a year and a half, you'll be where we are today, you know, and you have a chance of even higher price appreciation because Hex took us from 000 to 5 cents. And it looked like it was so impossible to even reach 1 penny. And now we're at 5 pennies. So in a year and a half, we could be at a quarter, or we could be at $1, we could be at anywhere. Plus the fact that if the market is going down or there's a bear market, as Jenkins was saying earlier, you're still getting that interest. So you're getting your added units, you're getting that bag filled. And then when the market goes and pumps back up, you're going to have even more units plus the price appreciation. So I just don't see anything like it right now. I mean, if I see it, then I'll go for that. But for now, I know I'm in the right product.
So the property that I'm selling right now, I bought for $790,000, and I put about $200,000 into remodeling it into being a sixplex, fleshing it out, and so forth. I ran it from 2013. I think I bought in 2013 until now, right? So that period. Over that time, it was making 25 grand a month, something like that, with about a $4,000 a month carry because I did have a mortgage on it. Now it's going to sell for 2.4. So it took from 2013 until now, that's almost 8 years, to barely double. And then out of that double, you know, to 1x, right? To make one extra quantity, right? And out of that, because it's real estate, it's not transferable. So capital gains, even for Act 20, and even if you exit tax and go to a different country, Real estate almost never fits the exemption. If you have capital gains, you're going to pay tax because the state wants it. You can't put it in a backpack and take it with you. So they're going to have claim to it whenever it transfers title. So I'm just pointing out that you can't do this in real estate. And my area has been amazing on its ROI when it comes to a real estate performance. If you look at something like a cap rate or something like that, you're looking at like in a nice area that's very stable, and the rent incomes and the equity is there, you know, as far as like the safety and security and good schools and things like that. If you're making like 4 to 7% per year, you're doing great, right? So it takes 10 years basically to barely make 50% on your money, right? And I've done phenomenally in my particular subgenre, subzone area, but still it is pales to crypto. And
Right.
if you strategize on a product that has market fit and doesn't have promise coin narrative, how can you think of it any other asset? So I'm exiting out of real estate altogether. I'm rolling over what I can sooner into Pulse just because it's coming sooner. And then everything else goes into Hex. I mean, I really don't have the same narrative at this age in my life as I had before about accumulating material things. I am transferring into a digital world more over the past like 3 to 4 years or 5 years. So yeah, I think again, people should strategize. They should think ahead. They should think long-term. They should delay gratification. Richard, the guy that has a $250,000 wristwatch, is talking about not paying on TradingView $300 a year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, well, $300 times 1,000x is 300 grand. So he makes a $300,000 decision. Do you see what I'm saying? Because he doesn't pay TradingView. So his perspective on value is long-term in perspective. And a lot of people see short-term gains things and they say, hey, you know, I doubled my money. You did. And when you realize it, you'll have the joy of that trinket, right? If you saw how much stuff I gave away, like in the past 4 days, just because I want to exit California in general, garage sales, donations, Salvation Army, 6 washers and dryers, 6 refrigerators, 6, you know, couches, beds, basically a 6-plex worth of stuff, right? And should it's the same narrative I had before about the Corvette. I had a 1962 Corvette, and the market, when you look for the market to buy, you can see something like an appraisal, and the appraisal, especially in the classic car trade, is very firm. This is what all these others have sold for, and this is the NADA or the Blue Book or, you know, some classic review of a particular car that has a shrinking number of supply. Every year somebody crashes a 62 Corvette, so there's one less, right? So if I had weighted that fair market value, every appraisal, that was an $80,000 car by appraisal, and it was probably, if I sold it at discount, I would have taken about 2 months, maybe 3 months to get 65,000, right? But I wanted to do it before big payday, and I saw it as dormant capital. I saw it as locked capital, not liquid. And what was the purpose? I think I had spent almost 2 years in Puerto Rico without driving that car. I was like, I have a trinket that isn't really earning anything. It's just nostalgia to me at this point.
Right.
So I sold it and liquidated it, fire sale, basically, for $42,000. That became Hex.
Nice.
That $42,000 is now worth around 400 grand. So did I make a smart decision? I made a speculation, but did I make a smart decision? Well, even better, the current value of it is what I just told you, that rolling over, but it's staked for like 8 years more.
There
right?
you go. It'll be worth so much more.
Yeah. So when you look at your objectives in life, try to think longer. You go into high school as an 8th grader, and you spend 4 years to get out of high school. You can't commit to more than 2 months in crypto? What the fuck? It doesn't make any sense. Like, human beings, we want what we want right now, but we go through all kinds of things that will delay gratification, you know?
Right. But it's good. It's good because that way we'll shake some of the weak hands is the way I see it. So sometimes this shakeouts, I see them instead of a dip or a bear market or this or that, it's just like a shakeout. You know, you want people that are going to be committed not a month from now, but 6 months, 8 months, 2 years after the network's launched. Because that's, I mean, I'm sure that it's going to happen again. A lot of people are going to get big old bags, but they're not going to get their actual appreciation because they'll sell too early. So.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, yeah, man, that's probably where we'll have to call it right here. Just for my time's sake, I got something I got to do, but yeah, man, thanks Identity for coming on, and Gary for being able to come on for a few minutes too, man. And anytime I hear you come on, it's like, man, just shut up and take notes. You're damn well
saving the chat.
Wisdom.
So good. I'm
really
glad you put that out there. It's really, you really do have interesting perspectives. Every so often I'll catch a real golden nugget and I'll be like, man, I got to write